created by these logical operators, right? I guess you are very familiar with. Everyone has taken, yeah.
I've seen.
Okay. Which one you have? This is exclusive OR, which we will get into other details. That's a very important operator that we will use. Okay. So exclusive OR. Okay. Where we get into the details. Okay. It's like OR, but it's a little bit different. Okay. But I will probably save that. We get that one. I guess you know this one. Because equivalence is bidirectional implication, right? So I suppose everyone has taken discrete math. Okay. So these operators are
Very much same notation or both.
oh, okay, the notations may be different.
Yeah.
So this is a negation, this is conjunction, this is disjunction, and this is implication, exclusive or and bidirectional. Bidirectional implications. And we're going to get, I think we're going to get the bidirectional implication as well as exclusive or we're going to get into another concept called a clause. So from a certain perspective, you could say a clause is the basic building blocks, is the smallest predicate that you cannot divide into even smaller ones. Okay? So that's the smallest predicate required. But the technical definition is that the clause cannot contain any logical operators. Okay? So look at this example. Okay, so this is a predicate, and you have like logic operators. Okay, or and. Okay, but this is a relational expression, and this is a clause, right? That does not contain any logical operator. So equal is not a logical operator. Okay, I mean not if you recall the discrete math. So or this is a logical operator, and C is a Boolean variable. Okay, so C does not contain any logical operator, so C is a clause. Okay, and Px is a Boolean function, and it does not contain any logical operator, so Px is also a clause. So intuitively speaking, I guess like the predicate consists of clauses that are connected with Boolean operators, logical operators. And the clause itself cannot contain any Boolean operator. Some examples of potential bugs that you could hide in a predicate or in a conditional expression. So you use the incorrect Boolean operator, you're supposed to do conjunction. And you put a disjunction, okay, by mistake. Okay, so that's one example of a bug that exists. Like in an incorrect Boolean variable, you're supposed to do x, but you use x, but you put y over there. Okay, that could be, for example, you had the misunderstanding, right? About how the system is supposed to work, and that will make you to make this kind of mistakes. You use or add some extra Boolean variables in the expression, or you use an incorrect division operator or the parentheses by using incorrect. So those are examples of predicates, predicate forms that relate by program, and these are examples. Okay, so you basically make some mistake as you writing those conditional expressions, and practice as targets these kind of forms, trying to generate test cases to detect faults like this. Okay. So next we're going to look at some coverage right here that we could apply to predicates to the predicates that we want to test. The first one is a very straightforward coverage criterion. Right? So basically, if you have a predicate, I want to test what happens if the predicate is true, what happens if the predicate is false. So for each predicate, I want to have two test cases. In one of the two test cases, the predicate value is to be true. I want to see how the program behaves. And in the other test case, the predicate value is to be false. I want to see how the program will check how the program behaves. So look at this example. Say this is the conditional expression that we want to test. Okay. If I want to achieve predicate coverage, I can use these two test cases. Okay. See, if I give 5 to A, 4 to B, true to C, and true to Px. Px, as I mentioned earlier, Px is a Boolean function, and C is a Boolean variable. So if you give these values to these variables or Boolean functions, you evaluate the predicate. What the predicate evaluates to. True. This would be true, right? The second test case would be false. You have two test cases, one evaluates to true. For the other test case, the predicate evaluates to false. That's predicate coverage. That's basically what edge coverage is about. So imagine for each conditional expression you have in your program, each conditional expression has to be evaluated to true and has to be evaluated to false. Okay, so if you make a connection to edge coverage, the control graph, when you do this for every conditional expression, you achieve edge coverage, you achieve branch coverage. That's the connection. And sometimes we probably have felt edge coverage. We are pretty confident, right? You feel like I have tested every branch, but as you will see, this is not really sufficient. Okay. Let me just give you an example. Okay. So would this how do you feel? Like would these two test cases be like adequate to ensure the correctness of this conditional expression? You feel comfortable that after I execute these two test cases, I feel confident this conditional expression is written correctly. Okay, let me to be more specific. Okay, what if I make a mistake in the predicate? If the correct conditional expression should be that one, okay? So let's say I was out of my mind, I was not thinking. If I put A less than B, okay, and everything else is the same. If I made a mistake here, would these two test cases help me to detect? If I make a mistake here, for whatever reason, okay, I put the operator instead of greater, would these two test cases help me to detect? Yeah. Okay. Why yes? Why do you believe that these two test cases would help to detect this bug?
Because you put in the wrong conditional statement, so
Okay.
you get back the wrong responses that you expected, or that you'd be expecting, and you know something is.
How do you know you are getting the wrong response? If you run these two test cases.
Yeah.
Okay, how about maybe we can run these two test cases, okay? On the correct predicate and on the incorrect predicate to see whether we get the same result. If we get the same result, then you cannot detect this part. If you get different results, then we can detect.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. That's your thought process, right? So let's do it step by step, okay? So these are the two test cases we have, right? So if I run this test case, the first one with this predicate. So A is 5, B is 4, so this is going to be false, right? They're going to be false. C is what? C is true. P is what? P is true. So this part, because C is true, this part would be true, right? Because it's a disjunction. Okay. And the conjunction with true. So for the first test case, the predicate will evaluate to true, right? Is that for the first test case, you get the same result, right? If you run your program as you imagine, you are going to execute the same branch, right? It's for the second test case. Okay. So this is so for the second test case, okay. So A is 5, 6, B is 6. So this is what? This is true, right? C is what? C is false, right? And PX is what? Is false. So this part would be true and false. The result would be false. So we get the same result, right? Thus, the correct one. So you're not going to detect if you run these two test cases. You make a mistake, you're not going to detect with these two test cases. Okay. So I hope this example shows branch coverage is really not that much adequate, right? Even though I can tell you that actually, if you talk to people in industry, in many cases, they don't even achieve edge coverage. Okay, because many people still do practice, still do ad hoc testing. Okay, they do not really track coverage. Sometimes it's they just, if they could achieve code coverage, that's pretty good in practice. Not to mention edge coverage, but if you look at this example, edge coverage, predicate coverage is not sufficient to detect many bugs that you might find in those conditional expression. That is why if you deal with like those safety critical domains, you would have to do more. You have to show that you have done much more testing. Okay. I just want to really come back to this point, but just be curious to me why like these two test cases cannot detect that bug. What is the reason?
You don't test like each clause of these.
This class,
Yeah, yeah,
because you did not really test like this class like A greater than B, right? Why we didn't really test that? Why this class was not really tested in these two test cases?
Has more than two combinations that can affect its result.
Okay. Is that the reason?
No.
Actually, what's interesting, if you look at the two test cases, you do get like a true or false, right? You have tested this particular class true and false. But what was going on but if you look at the entire practice, you did not really test this clause.
Because it's tied to like another clause, C.
And you're getting close. That's something what we refer to as the masking effect. The effect of this clause somehow get lost, right? Did not get reflected on the predicate, the result of the predicate. We're going to come back to this, and that's basically the main idea behind predicate testing, you have to deal with this kind of situation, okay? We want to make sure every class is actually tested. That's the intuition, okay, behind predicate testing. If you keep this in mind, what we're going to discuss next is going to make much more sense, okay? But this is the problem, okay? So, I think we probably felt because like the intuitions that each class was not actually tested, right? So then we have, naturally we have the second coverage, called the class coverage. Instead of requiring every predicate has to be tested true and false, we want to make sure that every class be tested true and false. What you feel? Would that be better? Would that be stronger than predicate coverage? Feel like so, right? But remember, okay? What's interesting is that if you look at this test case, this test set, okay, this is the same test set as we what we have seen, right? Does this test set satisfy class coverage? Does this test set satisfy class coverage? So remember, class coverage, for every class, you have 3 classes, right? As we mentioned earlier in the practice. You want to make sure every class be tested true and false. Would these 2 test cases satisfy class coverage? Yes, right? So I hope this shows like class coverage is not necessarily better than predicate coverage, right? So the real problem is not really whether you test each class or each predicate true and false. It is because what we refer to as masking. Even though you test like a predicate, then a class like A and B, A greater than B, true and false, but the effect of this class on the predicate is somehow masked by other clauses in the predicate, so that you do not really see what's going on if you have a different value for the clause. Is predicate coverage stronger than class coverage or subsume? Remember the definition. When I say the coverage is stronger or subsumes the other coverage, it means any test set that satisfies the stronger coverage should satisfy the weaker coverage. So in this context, so the question is that does any test set that satisfies predicate coverage also satisfy class coverage? Yes. That's the case for the particular example test set. We have seen the same test set satisfies both predicate coverage, right, and class coverage. Everyone says yes. Okay. Okay, what about the other one? Is class coverage stronger than predicate coverage? Does class coverage is I feel like intuitively at a very high level, you probably feel class coverage is stronger, right? Like going inside the predicate. inside each class and predicate. But what happens is that neither one is stronger. Okay, they are not really comparable. So let's look at this very simple example. Can you find the test set? So these are the so basically this is the predicate we're talking about. You have a Boolean expression, right? So these 4 test cases are all possible test cases you could have, right? That's an exhaustive test set. From this exhaustive test set, can you find a subset, okay, that satisfies predicate coverage but not clause coverage? Satisfy. Okay, so are you familiar with this table structure? This is the truth table, right? True plus true. Okay, I don't have to explain that. So among the 4 test cases, can you choose a subset? Okay, one or more test cases from the 4 test cases, such that the subset you choose satisfies predicate coverage but not clause coverage. Can anyone do that? You want to satisfy predicate coverage but not clause coverage. 3 and 4, very good, right? So if you choose 3 and 4, okay, you do satisfy predicate coverage, right? Because 2 and 4, this is the predicate value. When you look at each clause, for clause B, you also satisfy 2 and 4. But for clause A, you have false. You cannot test what happens if clause A is true, right? So this counterexample would allow you to answer the first question, right? Predicate coverage is not stronger than clause coverage because you can find a test set that satisfies predicate coverage but not clause coverage. Does that make sense? Can you find a test set, a subset of these 4 test cases that satisfies clause coverage but not predicate coverage?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay. So if you look at 2 and 3, for clause A you have true, false. For clause B you have false, true, but for predicate you have true, true. So this counterexample help you to answer the second question. Clause coverage is not necessarily strong, even though, well, to some extent you may feel like clause coverage is strong. So what do I do, right?
Introduce a 3rd coverage.
Introduce a 3rd coverage. That's right. So before we do that, okay, you can see the pattern here, right? We're going to introduce, in theory, what we can do first, right? So that's the all combinatorial coverage. You say, well, predicate. I want to basically test all possible combinations. Okay? So in this example, you have a Boolean expression that has 3 Boolean variables. So this would be the table, right? These are all possible combinations that we could test. Okay? That's I guess the coverage that we'll see on the top if we visualize the hierarchy. Okay. But that's going to be too many, right? That's a problem. It's going to give you more comprehensive coverage. But in many cases, you're not going to be able to do that. The reason you may say, well, I can only, for this one, do 8, that is okay. But imagine your program, then we will see, they have a lot of conditional expressions. And they're going to have combinations as well. That's going to blow out, right? So you cannot in practice, you cannot do this exhaustive coverage. So when you find some way, remember the basic idea has is that you have to make a trade-off, make balance. Okay, you want to detect as many bugs as possible within the resources, amount of resources that you have. That's what we're going to be focused on. A very important concept of active class. We're going to deal with the masking effect. That's the basic motivation behind what we call this active class testing. Okay. From the name, you can probably guess, right? Active class. You want to make sure the class, the effect of a class is reflected on the predicate. You don't want the effect of a class is masked, okay, by other classes. Okay. That's the basic idea. Keep that in mind, and you're going to be able to make sense of the definition. Okay. So first, the concept, we're going to introduce a concept called a major class. So when you look at the predicate, okay, the predicate could have multiple classes, right? We're going to do it like one by one. We're going to test one class at a time. We're going to see how this class impacts the predicate. Okay, so one class at a time. When I look at one class, okay, that class is referred to as the major class. All the other classes in the predicate, which is not my concern at this point, okay? They are called minor classes. But every class will get its turn, okay? Every class will become a major class, okay? But when this class is a major class, all the other classes are referred to as minor classes. But every class will get its turn, okay? So let's say, we look at one major class, C, okay? This class determines the value of the predicate. If you flip the value of this class, you are also going to flip the value of the predicate. That makes sense. That requires the minor classes have to have certain values, so that you can actually see the impact of this major class. So imagine if this is not the case, if you flip, remember we're talking about Boolean values, right? Boolean variables or Boolean expressions. Okay? If you flip the value, flip a Boolean value, the value of the major class, it does not affect the value of the predicate. What does that say? Well, every class is important, right? If you make a mistake in any of the classes, you're going to have a bug in it, right? You could make an incorrect decision. What it means, if you flip the value of a major class, if the predicate value does not change, that the effect of that major class must be masked by some other classes. When you have, why we have the masking effect is that, imagine, that's because what happens with the Boolean operator, we have A or B. If B is true, what value A has does not matter, right? Right? Because if you flip the value, if you change the value of A, you are not going to affect the value of the predicate. And this is not good for testing. It's because if you flip this value, if it does not change the value of the predicate, if something goes wrong inside A, you're not going to detect. You not see the difference. Okay, when you execute the program, as you can imagine, you're going to make a branching decision, right? So that's exactly what we had earlier, right? We have A less than B. You make a mistake here, you flip the value, we did flip the value, but the predicate value does not really change. Okay? Then you are not really testing this clause. So that's the idea. We want to make sure we test the clause, true and false. We want to make sure the clause, the effect of the clause, is visible on the predicate. That's what is behind this definition. Why we want to make sure when I change the value of the major clause, which is the clause I'm trying to test, if I change the value of this clause, it will change the value of the predicate. Okay? One important note is that the clause and the predicate do not have to have the same value. What is important is that if I change the clause of the value, the predicate value has to change. It could be, I may be changing the clause from true to false, and the predicate may change from false to true. That is okay. That's what I said if you flip. Okay, you also need to flip the predicate value so that you can see the impact of that clause, but they do not have to have the same value. Okay, but you have to be able to see the change. Okay, that is important for the from the testing perspective. So example here, okay, if I want to make, let's say if I'm trying to test clause A, I have to make A active. Make sure A determines the value of P, right? Otherwise, you have to see the effect of A. So to make A active, B has to be what? What value I have to give to B in my test case in order for me to see the effect of A? What value B has to take? False. Okay. So if I'm testing, so again, like when we do predicate testing, we do active clause testing. We're going to test one clause at a time. When I test clause A is the major clause, B is the minor clause, the other clauses, right? So if I have to, first I have to make A active. I have to make sure A determines the value of the predicate. To do that, I have to assign the minor clauses proper values. So if I want to make A active, B has to be false. If I want to make B active, A has to be false, right? Not true. Okay. I guess naturally you could derive this active clause property. You want to make sure every clause is tested true and false. And in test cases where the clause is active, that's what it means. So have the additional requirement. The clause has to be active when you test the clause true and false. So that the effect of that clause is not masked by other clauses. Okay. Look at the example. Okay. Very simple example. A or B. Okay. If you want to achieve active clause coverage for clause A, okay, first you have to make A active, right? To make A active, B has to be false. Okay, so these are the all four possible cases, right? Because you have two Boolean variables. So this one, so in this test case we cannot consider because this one is not active. This one is like a lower case. We have to test the clause in the test case, which the clause is active. Okay. So if it's true, then this is not active. Okay. So I guess the
No,
okay.
it's not
not all the 4 test cases. I
Yeah.
think the first 2 is for the A active and the six.
Okay. Okay, it's not the truth
Yeah.
table, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not the truth table. I already put the results here,
Yeah.
okay. So B has to be false to make A active, and then you have to test true and false. That's how it works. And for B, to test B, you have to test one class at a time. To make B active, you have to, A has to be false, and you have to test true and false. Okay. So then you put them together, you have like one test case that is the same, so you don't have to have both. So you have 3 test cases to achieve active class coverage for this predicate. And that is different from predicate coverage and class coverage, which will only need 2 test cases. So you can see active class coverage will require more test cases, okay, than predicate and class coverage, but will require a lot less test cases than the exhaustive coverage. So it's going to be in the middle. Okay. We're going to come back to this. We're going to have a lot more details. Okay, to discuss. This is just the basic idea. Okay.